Knowing what to eat these days feels like a freaking minefield, especially if you're a female entering midlife, maybe hitting perimenopause. There's so much contradicting, confusing, and overwhelming advice out there. I want to give you the 4 basic principles as a holistic nutritionist that are going to help regulate your hormones, your energy, and your mood, and just set you up for success so that you can cut through all the noise, all the overwhelm, and know what foods are actually going to make you feel good. Let's dive in. So when it comes to what to eat in midlife, in your 40s, or if you feel like you're facing perimenopause, whatever age that is, because remember that can start happening mid to late 30s, not just 40s. What has food got to do with it? Why does it matter? But I can tell you that the food you eat during this time can make the world of difference to how your body performs, how you feel, to your hormones, to your hot flushes, to all the various and varied symptoms that can show up. So I want to go back to basics. When it comes to food and the internet, it's very overwhelming, isn't it? Like, it's knowing what to eat these days without being in midlife and perimenopause feels like a freaking minefield. So I just want to give you some basics. These are some good, scientifically backed basics of what to eat to support your hormones, your energy, and your mood. So let's dive in. So before I dive into at least 4 of the key principles and basics that I want you to follow, I want to just go back a second and look at food in general and really think about why are we even talking about this? Because food can feel really overwhelming and it can also just feel like another thing to your to-do list. So I wanted to reframe it for you and remind you that food is really powerful data input to your brain. And also you eat, hopefully, 3 meals a day, maybe a snack. So you're eating 3, 4, or 5 times a day. So there is an opportunity with your food choices to create really strategic data input based on the goals and how you want to feel. So said another way, you want to have more balance, improve your mood, more energy, less body fat gain, and you want your periods to be less heavy and all over the place. Okay, well, the food choices you make in those 3, 4, or 5 times a day can be the data input your brain needs, and not only the data input, the nourishment, the ingredients your body and brain and ovaries need in order for that to happen. So it's not just like try and eat healthy if you can. It's really about what are the biological processes you are driving and encouraging with your food choices. It's incredible potential. Even if you think about it, and let's say 2 out of your 3 meals weren't very good in a day, but one of your meals, and a good, I'm just looking at it from a scientific perspective now. I get that language can be problematic, but even if one of your meals was really nutrient dense and really strategic targeted data input, and the other 3 were full of like processed foods and other things that in terms of the data input actually create a lot of stress and added burden often to the bodies in some ways. It's not quite as simplistic as that. Then that's incredible. So wherever you're at right now, you don't need every single thing that touches your lips to be like blessed by the goddess and the most pure of pure foods. The goal of this video is that you can just get a bit more strategic and use the incredible opportunity that is food to help you balance your hormones, improve your mood, sort out your energy, and just feel like your best self. This isn't about like a puritanical approach where the healthiest you eat, the better person you are. No, this is about being really strategic with the opportunity that is in front of you every day. You're already eating. So let's make the way that you are eating helping you to get to how you want to feel, helping your body feel. And I'm going to share with you a couple of principles of what that looks like for me and what I do with my clients. So this is me actually making my kids breakfast, which feels like a whole marathon each morning. And I totally don't set myself up for success here because I offer far too many options. But they generally have eggs or porridge or both, depending on the kid, depending on the preference. We have chocolate porridge going on. Anyway, this isn't a video about what my kids eat, but to be fair, there's quite a lot of similar principles. The principles I'm going to share with you now are things that can be great when you're in your 40s if you feel like you're facing perimenopause and you want to help balance your hormones. But spoiler alert, they're also great principles at any stage and age of life, and they're also things that I incorporate with my kids. But if we're specifically looking at this stage of life for a female body, here are a couple of things that are really, really important. So the first thing we want to look at this stage of life is regularity of eating. There's a lot of stuff on the internet about intermittent fasting, about 1 meal a day, about not eating anything until midday and having coffee and then breaking your fast and all of these kind of things. If you are still a cycling female, that is not how I would approach fasting at all. And generally speaking, you want to be eating 3 meals a day. And as you begin to head into this perimenopausal phase, you actually want to start to try and eat within an hour of waking up. That could be full-blown breakfast, or it could just be a small something. Sometimes I just get clients to have like some walnuts or something rather than just being completely fasted. The reason for that is often during your 40s, for many reasons, there's a lot more stress going on. Plus, the process of fluctuating estrogen and changing your hormones can create more cortisol, more stress. Plus, it's often the time of life that caregiving responsibilities are at their max. People are parenting small kids, they are having babies, they're looking after elderly parents, they're renovating houses, they're at the peak of their career. There's a lot of balls women are juggling, which can add to stress. And it just means that they are overworking and completely stressed out of their nuts. So then adding fasting to that is a huge no-no, in my opinion. So if you have read about all the benefits and all the research of intermittent fasting, I would say for a menopausal woman, if you are struggling with any type of health issue, skipping meals is not the way forward. You want to make sure your baseline is 3 solid meals a day, minimum. So let's talk now about what to eat. As a holistic nutritionist, I've worked with hundreds of people, so I care about this and have a lot to say, but I'm going to try and summarize it here into some key foundations. But it's worth saying every single body is different. And when it comes to what food we're eating, we're really thinking about what function or what signaling are we trying to create into the brain. And what we're trying to do with our food is really help to stabilize our blood sugar and make sure that that is feeling super stable so that that can be really supportive of our estrogen and testosterone production. We also want to make sure we eat foods that are really supportive of our liver and therefore our hormone metabolism. And we also want to make sure we eat enough foods that really flood the body with all the key nutrients it needs to make hormones and also to help in detoxification. So what does that actually look like in terms of food, and what are the key principles? Again, everybody's really personalized on this, but when it comes to macronutrients, which is protein, carbs and fat, protein is really important at this stage of life. And the biggest mistake I see women making is under eating protein. They are primarily focused on carbs and fat, and what you need to do in order to help maintain your muscle mass, because that will decrease during this age, and having good muscle mass is one of the most protective things in terms of your future longevity, body composition, hormone health. Making sure you have enough muscle on your bones is so important, also for your bone health. We want to make sure that we are really supporting your body with enough protein. So protein is really important at this stage of life. Now, with every client I work with, there's different ratios. Some people need high fat, high protein, low carb. Other people need high carb, high protein, lower kind of fat intake. Again, fats are really healthy, so I don't mean low fat, I mean whole food based fat, but really actually maximizing on the carbs and protein. So that's something you need to experiment with, but the overarching theme is to make sure you eat enough protein. So you've seen a breakfast I'm making here, which had ground turkey and vegetables and eggs, because I was making sure I ticked the box of protein. And what I try to do is I'm aiming for roughly about 30 grams of protein in my meals. the next thing we are going for here in terms of food principles, that is a great universal principle for all, is fiber. So fiber is really important for many things, but when it comes to midlife, when it comes to perimenopause, the reason I want you to focus on fiber is A, that it will really help support your blood sugar. And again, like I mentioned before, blood sugar can really help with your estrogen and testosterone levels, which is really important. Having balanced blood sugar can impact things like hot flushes, mood, anxiety, hangriness, body composition, weight gain, all of these kinds of things. But fiber is also equally as important as protein itself. So making sure you're getting enough fiber is super important. It's also really necessary for healthy gut microbiome, so meaning that diversity of bacteria, which has a huge impact on your immune system, on your mental health, on your hormones, everything else. So fiber plays a lot of roles, and again, a bit like protein, it's something people are often really missing a trick on. So really good sources of fiber are vegetables. You also get them in like lentils, pulses, in whole grains, things like oats and buckwheat and spelt flour and all of these kind of things. You're going to get it in fruit, in berries. You're going to get it from a lot of whole unprocessed foods. Where you're not going to get fiber is in lots of refined ultra processed foods. So when it comes to what to eat and you're thinking about building your meals, you want every meal to contain protein and every meal to contain fiber, right? And then how much carbs and fat you have alongside that is probably going to depend on you and your goals. But when you're thinking about your meals, when you're feeling overwhelmed, what should I have for lunch? What should I have for this? Protein, fiber, protein, fiber. Really, really important for how you feel, really important for hormone balance, for body composition, for you feeling amazing. It's essential at this stage of life to make sure you build your meals around this if you want to feel your best. And let me know in the comments below what your favorite proteins are to incorporate into your meals. You're watching me here make a lunchtime salad where I am incorporating some leftover chicken, which is a very typical obvious protein, but the proteins I love are things like eggs and lentils and Greek yogurt, and I even love a little bit of tofu when I make it into like a chocolate mousse. That's like the best kind of protein to have. But let me know below what are your favorite ones to incorporate into your meals. So it's miserable weather here, has been, thanks Storm Amy, and our chickens do have shelter, but it's not the best shelter, and we've been waylaid in making our better shelter for them because of the rubbish weather, ironically. So, got a little snack of treat. Well, this is just burnt toast. I've got some mackerel, some broccoli sprouts, pak choy. These are just gonna be the best fed girls ever. Hey, just came to cheer you up a bit. I know it's a bit wet, isn't it? So let's do this. So we've covered a couple of the basics. Now I want to share with you a couple of specific foods that I often tell clients to eat more of on a daily basis. Number one is being seeds. So think ground linseeds, flax seeds, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds. You can Google something called seed cycling, which sometimes people find helpful. But for me personally, just adding in good amounts of ground linseeds every day can make such a difference to my hormonal health. So making sure you're eating a good 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground or mixed seeds each day can be so helpful. The next food that you want to focus on and adding in specifically is more brassica vegetables. So that's things like broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, pak choy. And I love broccoli sprouts for helping with clients with heavy periods or with suspected estrogen dominance, or where we're really looking at the metabolism of their hormones. Those foods specifically, those two foods, seeds and your brassica veg, your green leafy vegetables, although cauliflower is not green, but can be so helpful for supporting the liver in helping balance your hormones during this time. So there can be a lot of conflicting advice on the internet, but these are the basic foundations that I think are suitable for most females in their 40s in terms of balancing their mood, helping their hormones, and just feeling their best at this season of life. So I hope it helps, and I'll speak to you next week.